Timberwolves are going to win the world championship.
Edwards. Edwards! They are advancing to the Western Conference Finals for the first time in 20 years.
Oh, it's on, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yeah, baby.
Welcome, everybody. Timberwolves lose to the Boston Celtics, 107 to 105. Had another chance at a game winner, which was kind of exciting, and a way better game than I think a lot of us maybe expected. So that felt good. Honestly, I don't even feel that bad after that loss. That was a fun game to watch. Yeah, you got a good performances from a lot of players. Dante started. Yeah, the Celtics are a really good team. I thought Porzingis was going to be back tonight, so I thought this was going to be like the end, because Porzingis against us is also a killer, as is Jaylen Brown, who obviously went on a 15-0 run to start the game. But anyways, Timberwolves lose. How do you feel about that, Ashwin?
Oh, the loss sucks. The way that we lost, the play call took too long. Can't complain about the game. I will be honest. It was a miserable start to just watch someone pop off and like us not respond whatsoever. But they just like started to slow down, and then we were able to respond and kind of grinding the game into our our momentum or our speed. I actually thought that most of the players played a very average to adequate game, and I'm not like really mad about anything in the grand scheme of things, especially coming off of a really kind of embarrassing night against Toronto. So, maybe bounce back performance for most of the players. I thought Ant had a slow start, but outside of that, as you just said, can't be really mad. It was a fun game. That was really a fun game. And I will say that like the bench left a lot on the table but the emergence of someone else kind of got us excited in more ways than one. And for the future of this team, as well as like the immediate future concerning, Conley's health, we at least have something that could be kind of like a jolt of energy and speed and tenacity in Rob Dillingham. And I think that was, a lot of takeaways from this game, but I think that's going to be one of the ones that we're going to like really remember for
sure.
Dillingham's performance.
Yeah, that was just so awesome to see, as people that have been, obviously, all Timberwolves fans are excited about this, but we've been just waiting for a Dillingham moment where it's like, oh, maybe he can actually be serviceable. That's the thing that I keep like pleading for, is like, if he can be serviceable as a backup or as like a starter every once in a while, it's such a huge win for the team, because obviously we've lived off of Mike Conley for the past 2 years. And like when he's been out, it's been trouble for us. So unless we have Kyle Anderson, which of course we don't this year. Dillingham. And then obviously just for the team going forward, you need him to be serviceable, if not really good, because he's going to take over for Mike here soon. So seeing the first real flashes, he's had some flashes this year, but this was like a game. This is against the champs, and he's playing well. As Grady and them were saying, it's like his eyes were wide, but it's the opposite of a deer in a headlight. Like he's just like wired. He's locked in. Yeah. So that was cool. That was really fun to see. And I hope this earns him more minutes. Still am waiting for the Terrence Shannon Jr. minutes as well. I was kind of hopeful we could get some, but eventually I think that will happen too. And if we're looking at like the picture as a whole here, obviously the game, disappointing loss, and we've gone on a little bit of a losing streak and whatever. Obviously this loss is way better than almost any other loss that we've had this season. But looking at the season as a whole, like this feels good. It feels like we're turning a corner. And I generally feel good about the team moving forward. Like I especially after watching some of those post-game, or not post-game, because there was no media at the last Timberwolves game.
We were available.
We could have gone to Toronto. But no, it like seeing them at practice or whatever, that was like a sign to me that was like watching Randle's comments and Finch's to a degree, but more so Randle. Randle was like, that comforted me so much seeing him talk about that, because he was in during the game, he does get very emotional. And I think that he is somewhat of like on the court diva. But off the court, he's like such a he's just so level-headed, and like the way he was talking about Rudy, and he's like, no, Rudy comes over to my house. It's like this, we'd have no beef. Like this is not a big deal. That calmed me, and I was like, okay. Also, I just believe, and the way he described Ant's leadership was like so spot on to me, where I'm like, yes, I believe in this team and their ability to have constructive conversations and have that moment that was a terrible on-court moment turn into a great learning opportunity moving forward. So I still stick with my like 45 wins for the season kind of a shtick that I've been doing all year. But I do think that this is a really good thing for this team. And I think that this was a great game. This was a fantastic game.
Yeah, you could kind of like quantify things in terms of like metrics of like, hey, we should have maybe played a slower game, got to the line more, got there because they were playing small. We could have like really bullied them in the post, and we were starting to with Randle in the second. We didn't do that enough. We didn't have Ant really drive at all to the rim. We could have really taken advantage of that. Gobert had a pretty big bounce back performance as well. We didn't like do one play for him whatsoever. Maybe one.
The first play of the game.
Yeah, we tried, and then that failed, and then we did like this Ant, like kind of trend, like dribble pass to
that was cool. Yeah,
Gobert for a dunk, which was awesome. Which was like maybe the only actual bucket that he scored based off of a play, and it actually felt better. Like the offense felt a little bit better. Mm-hmm. It was just, as I was kind of get at, like for every two that we were attempting, for every possession that we were trying to procure some offense, because we had a slippery hand in the beginning of the game, they were just chucking threes. And Grady, Jim Pete said it was like a numbers game. Like there was like 30 points more than us at the 3-point line. So how do we kind of like compensate for that? Well, I thought we really had a nice jolt in the third quarter when we were looking empty and we were like down by 19. Mm-hmm. I believe. And then Dillingham comes in and they start to chip away in the lead. And now it's like a 5-point game, 7-point game. Mm-hmm. And, Ant comes back in and it's like, it feels like a game that we could take and maybe steal, because like the way that we were playing fine, but just not really disabling the 3-pointer, like kind of frenzy from barrage from Boston was kind of like a stat that I feel like was very like underappreciated. We should have really tried to get them off the three-point line. Let them take the middies and the fadeaways, like never follow them on those fadeaways, like Jaden, like never even try to go for it. Like let them take those shots, because those are like low quality, high percentage of possession stops. And like I personally feel like if we don't let Derek White and Jaylen Brown and Tatum just shoot these threes, they don't really have much of an offensive flow. They are just perimeter based and very beatable. This game made me also kind of just appreciate how much they're chucking, but also like appreciate how much room they have to grow, and they're kind of just outwinning opponents by chucking them. I'll end here basically before we go into the tier list that like the defensive identity, I wouldn't say is back or anything, but it played better. It had a better result tonight, especially kind of ending possessions, getting a lot of offensive rebounds, and really kind of just like being a bit bigger than the opposition. Mm-hmm. But it still has still has so much room to grow, and for our end as well. And having Dillingham come in there, 14 points is incredible. Yeah. And I don't think he was a big deterrent on the defensive end, but he also doesn't really like hurt us that much, because we already are like compensating for when Gobert is off the court. So like I would like to see Dillingham and Gobert together more than I saw like Dillingham and Nas and Dillingham and Julius Randle. But anyways, moving forward, great output from our team.
Yeah, and I highlighted this comment. Nas is off, Conley is off, Dante way off, and we're 500. This could be way worse. Yeah, and I think that's why I have this like kind of rosy future painted in my eyes for the Timberwolves, because it's like really, I mean, we have so many people that are kind of off right now that are just like key elements of our team. Well, Conley's off and hurt, so like there's so many issues, but I'm feeling pretty good. And the only thing that I'll say to finish up before we go to the tier list, I'm so sad that we didn't beat the stupid Mavs last year, because I just feel like we could have had a real chance against Boston.
Ooh, I totally agree.
I just think, especially with Towns, I felt like that matchup for us, and even maybe with Randle, but like it's like I just feel, I don't know. It felt like we could have had a chance, and we just couldn't beat the Mavs. But anyways, that's last year.
Yeah.
On to the tier list. Let me share that.
Had we
screen.
had won, that'd been crazy. And then do we make the moves that we do? I'm not sure. That'd be even weirder. That'd be even wilder if we make the moves we made. As you're pulling up the tier list, what a closeout quarter performance from our team. I think we got nothing from our bench except for Dillingham until the end of until like the last stint in the fourth quarter where Nas finally hits a 3 and like a lay in, and finally Na gets a transition hoop to go in or whatever. You could stick with it, and you can also kind of fall down on your sword and be like, oh man, we just didn't have it tonight. But I actually appreciated the fact that we kind of went back to them a bit and kind of trying to buy time for Randle and Gobert even. But and Jaden, who had foul trouble, which was, oh my god, what an idiotic whistle all game long for him, with the exception of like one really bad call, or one like very obvious call. I don't really want to kind of spin the stats here, or kind of like really go deep into the bench stats. Just the stick out performance, man. Rob Dillingham, 16 minutes basically, like a season high in minutes, 14 points, 2 for 4 from 3, which is amazing, especially in that fourth quarter 3 right before he got subbed out for Ant. So kick ass, and just 6 for 10 from the floor. Like that is just insane efficiency. And just, I know you're going to say too, but just the speed, the pace, and the control he has out there, I think is going to be something that we can't wait to have more of, because we're desperate for some energy off the bench. And when Nas is not hitting threes, we boy, do we need something.
Yeah, no, it was great. And to the point that you were talking about earlier about his defense, this is such a bad matchup for Dillingham defensively, because Drew Holiday is just, he's too strong and too big for Dillingham to be able to like do anything. Also, he's still 19 and he weighs like 120 pounds. Like, like this just isn't right. I mean, he's not going to match up well against almost any player defensively. But I thought that there were moments today where he was kind of stunting. He had that one play where he was guarding 2 people and nobody else rotated, and he was kind of stunting back and forth. I felt like he was like, he's never going to be like a hound on defense. Well, maybe he could be, but like, he's just never going to be able to be super effective on defense. But I thought that he maximized what he could defensively tonight. So I felt pretty good about it. And then obviously the offense and just the spark and the speed, like you had mentioned, just such a breath of fresh air. I don't know why I have 2 tier lists up on my side right now. I'm getting so confused. But Dillingham, I mean, for his grade tonight, I mean, it was a fantastic performance. I feel like it has to be A or cash, and I don't know what of the two it is.
I think it's cash because it's coming out party. I think it's just in a game where I think we could have just been down by 20, where the subs were coming in and not making anything. We didn't have a high turnover game, but it felt like it because of like Nas being inept to like getting rebounds and boxing out, and as well as just shanking threes. And Nikhil not really playing his role, kind of getting demoted from starter to bench, and then not really helping the bench do much, despite his like team high plus or minus. I think it's a cash game because it also kind of like really speaks volumes to the coaching staff to say, hey, we got to play him because look at what happens when he's playing. Like,
yeah. I think it's cash. Boom.
Sure. Moving just quickly, might not play, but basically didn't. Naz Reid, 25 minutes, 5 points, 5 rebounds, but like, I don't know, man.
It's pretty bad.
Need more from a 6th man of the year to repeat. We need the best performance out of him, and we didn't get much of anything from him until the very end of the game. So I'm gonna give a big fat meh or not D'Lo. Nikhil Alexander-Walker, 27 minutes, 1 for 7 from the floor. He had all of his assists early in the game, like the first half of the game. 4 points, like absolutely nothing. And I think he was bullied out of this game in a way that I think Jaden was just so much better with his length. Na was just outclassed. I said this in the chat, in the Discord, shout out to Discord. Derek White's a cheat code, and he's like, maybe he's starting these days, and of course he is, but like he was off the bench initially, and he was like a 6-man of the kind of caliber player, and he's basically doing everything for that team that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are not doing. We definitely need that from our bench. We need that spark plug, that do it all, Swiss Army knife type of Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And the season start has been amazing. The last couple games have been kind of absolute zeros.
Yeah, I thought you're right. He's outclassed defensively tonight, and it's hard because he's going up again. This is similar to Dillingham, but it's like he's just not big enough to guard like Jason Tatum. Like Jason Tatum just has too big of a step back that's like too effective, and no, just can't. He just can't. I thought he was okay tonight, but I think I'm going to give him a meh. Just it is weird. It's interesting to see that they didn't start him. I'm curious to know what the decision making was behind why we started Dante, because really Na has been like one of our best players this year. But I understand that we have had like some bad losses here recently with Na being the point guard. So I suppose you look at the Portland game where he started, it was not good. Even though Na wasn't like terrible in some of those games, but and then recently I think it was the last game he started and it was just meh. So maybe that's part of the reason. Maybe it's just trying to shake things up. Maybe you're trying to just maybe you listen to Dante DiVincenzo's agent. I don't know, but yeah, I thought it was meh. But
yeah, are we talking about Dante now?
We can.
Oh. I think like when you brought up the who starts and what did we see change? I just think that the 0 assists for Na in the previous game against the Raptors was very telling. That I think he can pick up the slack in the bench unit and the second unit more so than he's usable when Ant and Randle have the ball mostly. It's great to have Na and Jaden on the court at the same time, like hounding whatever, but like it's actually even better when there's always one out there, to kind of compensate for the other one who's off or out in foul trouble or whatever. I think Dante is very serviceable, if not better, with starters because he's always going to be like kind of left mostly open, and he has a really quick trigger where I think Na is getting better at it. That's my kind of 2 cents. I think Dante works better in this lineup, and I think I appreciated the switch up too, to see things differently.
Yep. I think so too. I think it's a good thing to try because we do need Dante to start getting on somehow.
Yeah, and Big Boy, I just think that we were just feeling Dilly's coming out party more than maybe the grade is valid, but I think Cash is fine. But it's fine to be wrong, I guess. To the starters, we just talked about Dante. Dante, 29 minutes, 11 points, kind of back to form. Like we want him in double digits every game. I thought he brought the ball up way too much this game. I think it could have been more in Ant's hands. We'll get to Ant's stat line in a minute, but like, I think Dante could have been like just doing what he does best and peeling off of screens and getting side screens for easy points. But I just felt like that didn't happen, especially when we were kind of really struggling to get offensive like sets going when Brown was popping off in the 3 in the beginning of the game. The only thing we could do was like rely on Jaden, and that was kind of really upsetting. Anyways, Dante, 11 points, 3 for 6 from 3. I'm going to give this a very average, like low B.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I could see somebody argue maybe even for a meh, but I just think that based on our expectations, if we're doing it off of that, like he's been just so bad this season that 11 points on 50% shooting and 50% from 3 is like, I guess that's fine. I agree though. I think it is a low B. Interesting to see him in the starting lineup. I guess I'm kind of curious to see it again, maybe against somebody that's not the Boston Celtics. Oh
yeah, right.
But yeah, so
it's crazy, right? They had like 45 threes at the end of 3 quarters. They're just chucking. It's very ugly basketball, but it's like it really puts the pressure on us to like really be efficient. And if we're not efficient, let's get to the line. Well, we're not getting to the line. Dante's not really helping in that regard. I also think strongly like Call Me Casual or Capo is like is right. Like there's not a real difference between Nan and Dante out there offensively. But I think the ball should be in Ant's hands more. And maybe we see that as a result of the stat line tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I want more out of Dante, and I think we all do universally, but it's just like it's going to come in waves, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree with the Ant ball handling, though, because I think the goal, and me and Gerald were very excited coming into this year after the Cat trade because we've just wanted Ant to be able to have he wants to bear the brunt of everything. So I want him having to bring up the ball. I want him having to assist, do everything, and learn to grow as like a superstar that does everything. And Conley obviously takes away a little bit from the ball handling side of that, and so far we've had Na and DDV kind of do the same things, like Capo said. So it's like, and also it just, I don't know. Again, it's like the eye test thing. It just feels better when Ant has the ball. Maybe it's just because Ant's incredible, and we know that he can do anything great. He can hit a three every time, and he can dunk every time, and he can spin around, fade away, shot every time. But I want. If we're going to go through growing pains, I want it to be this year. I want to have Ant go through growing pains, whether that's turnovers or whatever, just getting that really super, super high usage type of thing out of the way now so that we could maybe potentially down the road, think Doncic level, where like Doncic brings up the ball quite a bit. And then eventually maybe pair him with some kind of a point guard that can, the Kyrie being added to Doncic is just like, it's so perfect for them. And I feel like we could maybe have that either with Dillingham someday or somebody else. But for now, I want him to go through those growing pains. But anyways, I'm talking about Ant. It's not his turn. So I agree.
Cool. Moving on. Jaden McDaniels coming off probably his best game of the season last game against Toronto. Follows it up with a 10 points, 5 rebounds, 5 fouls, a couple awesome dunks or transition plays, 2 for 6 from 3. Especially that was what happened in the beginning. He was basically 2 for 3 from 3, and started our offense, which was basically at zero capacity to start the game. We had nothing going, and he had something. He had something in the tank at least. I'm going to give this guy a B because I think also the whistle didn't really favor him. And when Na was getting outclassed, insert Jaden McDaniels, and he basically said no to Tatum, and that was pretty awesome. And Brown got his, but most of that was just miraculous shooting, more so than anything else.
Exactly. I'm glad you said B because I thought you were going to go way lower, and I'm assuming most people are going to go way lower on this. I can't see the chat, but I'm assuming that if they were going to put grade Jaden, it might be like meh or D-low, which is where my mind was early in the game. Not that it was his fault that Jaylen Brown is just going crazy, because he was just on fire. But I thought that fourth quarter from Jaden, even though the stupid fouls that he's getting and the stupid fouls he's committing, I just like seeing him in crunch time. I was like, I love this. He's dunking it. He's driving. He feels more in control, and his ability to, even with 5 fouls, kind of defend decently, I thought was commendable. Not enough to obviously bump him up crazy, but he goes up from a meh to a B to me. So I agree. I think it's a low B, but I do think it is a B. So
sure. Hey, Capo, we'll get back to this comment in a minute, but Tycoon with the I respect Jaden McDaniels. Nice. I love it.
I'm starting to. That's
good. That's good. Well, just positive performances back to back, pretty solid performances, in my opinion. Yeah. I think that can really only fuel us. But we need everyone to be on their game. Maybe not a game, but at least a game. I think Rudy Gobert had a miraculous bounce back performance tonight. 35 minutes, 10 points, 20 rebounds. Every rebound was announced by Grady. 2 fouls and just kind of stable defense, nothing kind of miraculous. I think it was kind of crazy that they were like hunting him at the end of the game for like Drew Holiday post up. They had Tatum and Brown trying to shoot a three over him or whatever. And I think, he gets lost a couple times with like Al Horford hitting threes that were just like so gut wrenching early in the game, like the first half of the game. But I just think that they don't have anything to really compete with Gobert. So I think his numbers are inflated and he will get a lot of these types of opportunities against a team like Boston, especially when they don't have Porzingis. But great. That's awesome. Take advantage of the fact that they're small and completely take him, to school. But, we didn't get to the line with him. He didn't really have any sort of like remarkable like transition plays or, any sort of like alley-oops whatsoever. So I want to say this is like a B, if not a B plus game for him, because he could have been more involved or like gotten at least some of Boston's bigs in quotations in foul trouble. And that didn't really happen. So
yeah, that's true.
But Eric says Gobert's an A.
I'm in between A and B because it seems wrong to have him in this. This is why we need more tiers, guys. No, but it feels wrong to have him in between or to have him in B because Dante's there, Jaden's there, and both of them didn't have like spectacular games. And I'm not saying that Gobert had a spectacular game either, but 20 rebounds is crazy. They did have that nice rolling dunk that he had with Ant, which I loved. I'm like, we could do that every game. I like Ant always draws two defenders when he's driving. So like, just have Rudy roll. Like that's perfect. And then he doesn't have to worry because like his hands are just so bad. So it's like, if we can get him wide open, that's okay. I guess I could kind of go either way, A or B. I do think I'm landing closer to you where it's like a B plus. But if everybody in chat is saying something higher, then we can go A.
Everybody in chat's talking about something else, but that's okay.
Okay.
I don't think really Gobert is much of a like an attraction to talk about, discuss, or he's more of a scapegoat right now this season than anything else. And I think it's on him, the GOAT, defensive GOAT, to really just like take it to a new level. I think it was awesome that he had a super impactful game without needing the ball once. And I don't think he was ever in the way offensively, in my opinion.
So, that's true. I never noticed anything,
Even in a weird way that might even put him into an A. Godfrey says, Derek White, 2 blocks, Gobert, 0. I think those blocks from Derek White were also just like ridiculous. He's so good for them.
The Celtics, they're taking all their shots from 3. Yeah. It's like he'd have to be. He was out on the 3-point line because they were doing the switching, but like still, it's like they don't have as many opportunities. How many shots did they take from 3? I'm trying to find it. They took 56. Like 56 of their 87 shots were from 3. So he only had like 30 shots that were possible inside the paint.
And I bet you a lot of those shots were when he's off the court because they're
that's
like,
true.
They see the opening now too. So
yeah.
Anyways, good game. I'm happy to see a very effective Gobert. Julius Randle, 36 minutes, 23 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Very important stat line. 8 for 13 from the free throw line. If he hit 2 free throws, we're in overtime right now. 2 more free throws rather. And I just think what we don't have right now was the previous years of Ant who got to the line a lot more. And we need compensation. We need someone to do this. And it's going to be him. That's going to be him almost every game unless Ant like tries to take over from the paint. I think this was a great game from Julius Randle. He was not in his own way. I don't think I even saw him like kind of cough up the ball, whatever, because like that has been a bugaboo from him this whole season, maybe his entire career. His head is always down when he's dribbling the ball, so like he doesn't look up and see like what's coming his way. I think he hit a 3, but like we need more out of him. But also like this was just great. I have nothing really negative to say. I think when the game was just almost out of reach, he's keeping the game within. Like. That's kind of weird to say out loud, but like,
this is the version of Julius Randle where I get excited and I'm like, this is what I am kind of happy why we don't have Towns and we do have Julius, because you want somebody that's in there drawing fouls constantly, because then it gives your players a break. And Towns was like sort of attempting that, but he just got such a bad whistle too that he was just like flailing. But Julius just gets in. He just gets dirty during these games. Like he just gets into spots where there's lots of people, and then he's right under the basket, and it's either going to be a layup or a foul. So it's like or both. So it just feels good in that regard. I mean, of course, the free throws are super frustrating tonight because we talk about this frequently about if Dante DiVincenzo hit 2 more threes, we'd win the game or whatever. And tonight it happens to be Julius. But I really do feel like, Julius, like if he hit a couple more of these free throws, like that feels like the difference in the game, not maybe anything else that was happening during the game. So because those are just gimmies. But of course, the season ebbs and flows, and his shooting from the line will ebb and flow. Like he's had really, really good shooting performances from free throw lines. So it's not like I'm super concerned by that, but just hurts tonight. But yeah, no, in general, I agree with everything you said. I mean, he also, like I've said every single game this season, like he's kind of stressful to watch sometimes because he's barreling in with his head down, just like you said, except the ball is like popping up, going all over the place. And it's like, oh my gosh, how does he still have possession? And sometimes he doesn't. So yeah, I don't know. This game to me, grade wise, I think the free throws bump it down from probably like an A to a B to me. And yeah, Eric, I can see Eric's comment. I think exactly. Eric and I are exactly on the same page. I think it's a B, but I think it's a higher B than the others.
There's no one thing that I think he did great except for getting to the line. And I think that's going to be something of a mystery for Julius Randle. Like he looked so good in that game winner, 36 points or whatever. And but he needed a game winner to really kind of like push us, in terms of like our opinion of him. And he needed that game, especially against Phoenix. And we needed that game out of him. But like there's a consistency that I adore and respect, the way that we're not seeing a whole lot of like play calls for Randle. We're not really seeing like here's the ATO for Randle. We are seeing a lot of transition. We're seeing like a lot of second looks or secondary actions or like offensive putback, kind of like here's the ball back to Randle. And I think it's great. And but I want to see a little bit more aggressive Julius Randle. The thing that I want to see the most is what I'm seeing a lot less of. Like when he gets the ball, he's like trying to shoot it. He's trying to like be aggressive, but for himself, I like the idea of him dribbling and kicking it out. The way that I think almost the entire roster of Boston is kind of embedded into their DNA for their play call. They don't have any really play calls, but they just like drive and kick. That's like all they do in Boston. Yeah. And so they drive and kick, or like do some like perimeter soft screens with Horford and whoever else is in the other big Tillman, I think. I think we just need a little bit more aggressive, assertive, and kind of pass happy Julius Randle. Anyways, great. Because we lose this game by a couple points, it could have been a 20-point loss, and we were almost coming in kind of potentially expecting that just because of like how things were going. But we responded to the adversity, and I think Julius and Gobert, they said, you talked about it in the beginning, that it's just one game, it's just one episode, and hopefully we can be stronger as a result of it. Anthony Edwards, 39 minutes, 28 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Including 6 for 11 from 3. Yeah. These are pretty incredible stat line. But I want to, pass it over to you to kind of give you your thoughts and your grade before I kind of chime in.
Yeah, I mean, I knew coming into this game, my guess coming into this game was that we would play better, Ant would play really well, and Boston would still win, probably by a decent amount, because like by 10 or something like that, because they're just better. And it was sort of true. Ant was good. Ant seems to just care about playing against Boston. And I know that Boston's like one of these like prestigious like franchises, but I think one, he has somewhat of like a rivalry with Jason Tatum. And 2, he's friends with Brown. So like it's just I think he has a lot to play for when he goes to Boston. And I thought this was a fantastic game. I mean, I thought he played really well. He played really controlled. I feel like this whole season he's been really controlled. We haven't seen him go like, other than maybe like the first game or 2 of the season, we haven't seen him go super crazy heavy in shooting. I mean, like he had like 1 or 2 games where he shot like high 20s or 30s or something like that. Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but it feels like he's been pretty conserved and pretty efficient. And I feel like some of his threes, even though, obviously you'd hope to have him drive a little bit more and get some fouls, but he's killing it late game, hitting these threes. And he's keeping us in games, being a superstar. And it's it's super awesome to watch. Defensively, I feel like he's not the same player he was last year. Although a lot of the time he's getting more exposed off ball, which is the same as last year. But no, I think in general, for tonight, this is a fantastic game from Ant. Obviously we're not talking like A1 and we're not probably talking cash either. But I'd probably be comfortable with an A or a B in this game. I thought Ant was really, really good. And I thought he picked his moments really well and converted in those moments more often than not.
Yeah, I'm going to be a little bit different. I'm going to have a different opinion, but I also want to make this clear that I love what he's been doing, and I think the overall game is improving, and I think the passing game is also kind of up, getting more shots, or he's having more confidence in passing. And I think there was the early moments where he was passing to Randle, passing to Gobert, even was awesome. There was no one moment that I felt like Ant had was the best player on the court. There was no one play where it's this is now Ant is taking over. He had a couple threes that kind of were in a blip, in a burst, and then that was it. And then he would kind of sit and not really push his agenda. And then he would come back after the Dillingham moments in the fourth, and he popped off for a couple threes. I think I need him to take over the game. I actually think that it's just him, and it's time for him to take over these games in these moments where I think it was a little too passive from him. 6 for 11 is amazing from three, but 4 for 4 from the free throw line is kind of upsetting to me. I kind of brought it up in the broadcast or the show earlier that I think that he could have really took it upon himself to just drive to the rim and just go crazy, because he would have gotten hacked and fouled. And he's been alarmingly better splitting defenses and kind of getting past the first kind of wave of defense. But his handle's kind of been shaky. He's dribbled it off his leg a couple times. And while the turnovers aren't that high or staggering tonight, at least, this has been a trend that I've been watching. Mm-hmm. The fact that he didn't take this game over, the fact that I think that last play boggled my mind, where he's you know what? I have a pretty open layup or floater, and I'm going to pass it to Jaden, who passes it to Nas, who's 1 for whatever from 3, right? If that was the play call, F off Finch, that's a wancho for Finch. But
I feel like
the read. If that's the read from Ant, isn't that the wrong read?
Yeah, I see. I have to watch the play again, because I thought, from my perspective, he looked like he had 2 people close to him when he was going, and he was off balance when he was going for the layup. Maybe he was using the off balance as an excuse to just pass it out or something, but or maybe it was part of the play call. I don't know. For when I first saw the play, I thought that's how it was drawn up. And honestly, it almost seemed like it, because Nas didn't seem super shocked to have that ball late. But I don't know. I have to see it again, so I'm not going to judge it too harshly just yet. But yeah, if that was not the play call and Ant just was I'm just going to pass it out to Jaden, that is interesting. I would rather have him go back up strong there, like you're saying, and either get fouled or make it. But I have to see the play again, because I really don't recall it in real time. It looked chaotic to me, but maybe he had more opening than I remember.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he was double teamed. And I think that the defense was kind of packing the paint, but not on him yet. Maybe he went through the double team with the screen, and then I thought, yeah, as June said, JB defended him well, but all right, it's just 1-on-1, and you already have the momentum on your side. I think he could have still gone for it, and I think with I don't think Gobert was out there, but I think we had Randle in the paint for maybe cleaning up the mess or something. So I'm not. Anyways, that is one play. But it's maybe a culmination of the game where he was too pass happy. Now, he has to grow into this role that we are watching for, but also anticipating the high usage, but also playmaking of Ant. But I want him more often than not to be the one who's taking the shot and taking the game over. So I'll stop there.
I agree with you there.
Something to observe and move forward.
Don't like us getting all cutesy with trying to get other people game-winning shots. This should be Ant. This goes back to the point that I was talking about how I want him to just be doing everything. This is his year to learn everything about being the guy. And I just don't understand why we're not giving Ant game-winning opportunity shots. I get that he's getting doubled a lot, but man, by the way, I pulled up that play since I just want to look at it because I literally have no recollection. So I'm going to share this instead. Is it working? Yes. Okay. So we'll watch this here. I might try to put it in slow-mo so that we can see. Well, first we'll watch it at regular speed, but then we'll go.
Getting to his left. Defended by Jaylen Brown. Edwards inside the arc. Kicks it out. Reed has to fire. Missed it anyway.
It's open. He's open for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
I didn't even. There wasn't any screen. Oh my god, there was nothing. It was just
here.
Drew Holiday wasn't even at all close to it.
Okay, that's too annoying. Let's go back here. So yeah, I mean he's not doubled.
He took too long to start this play though.
It did take too long.
I think right there.
Yeah, right there. He had the opportunity.
He had the play. He had the passing mindset because they just completely sagged off of Jaden, and Jaden was wide open.
Yeah, he could have done the play that he always does, the super slow, whatever he does, the super slow Euro that he does.
Dude.
That could have worked so well there because there wasn't anybody right there. Yeah. Brown did take a good angle, I think, on him, but it was still he could have.
Dude.
He could have.
Dude, Eric, June was mentioning this too. Last year, Ant would have just dunked this.
Yeah.
Ant would have just been so aggressive, especially in the playoffs. There's this thing about Ant, he's slowing down and doing the stop at a dime slow-mo type of thing. And he got his shot blocked, I guess, by Tatum or White this year. What? Why can't you just go right to the rim? I am a little peeved by it. I will say I will stop talking about it for now, but it's something I am actively watching, how Ant is kind of picking his spots, as you said, but not ever taking the game completely over. Yeah. He was 2 for 5 from 3 in the fourth quarter. He was 2 for 5 in the fourth quarter. He didn't take a shot outside of those threes. I think he could have absolutely taken a little bit more time to all those possessions were for him only, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. That is a good point. And I'm looking back in chat. It looks like some B's, some A's.
Yeah, I'm fine with whatever grade you end up putting him in. It's just what I saw.
I think I'll put him in A's, but I think it is a very low A, and I think it is close. It's pretty close to B.
We're not in this game without Dillingham. We're not in this game without a really steady hand from Julius Randle, and we're not in this game without 6 threes from Ant. So it's a combination of all these things. Really, kind of in a weird way, what an awesome loss. We're dissecting small things right now, and that's great because we were talking about behavior and culture and identity and vibes, and that's worse.
Yes, that is exactly. Yeah, no, I'd much rather be having this conversation.
Houston on Tuesday.
Houston on Tuesday. Let me stop sharing here. What else do we have? Houston likely without Fred Van Vliet. Did you see that whole situation?
Pointed at his nose, he was
he touched him. He hit him, which is kind of crazy. Which is funny because I was just rewatching that interview of him talking about Ben Taylor and about how bad he hated him or whatever, last year. And I was you know what? That's kind of maybe he has a point against refs or something. I don't know why. I was converting me or something. And then I saw that and I'm I don't really care what happened leading up to that. You just don't do that. You don't touch the ref in the face. What? Very strange. Yeah, June, if you haven't seen it, go look it up on YouTube. It's everywhere. It's bad. But yeah, and Mitch, you're right.
Can't take it lightly.
Yeah, they are going to be good even without him if he's out. I don't know. He might just get a massive fine and then just come back and be crazy. But maybe they'll get the worst whistle of all time. That would be nice. But he did. Yeah, he assaulted the ref. It's crazy. But anyways, we play all 3 next games this week are home games. Back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday, Rockets, Kings. And then we play the Clippers on Friday. And one of these games, Tuesdays is an NBA Cup game. So the boys in blue are going to show up. No, they're not. But then the Kings on Wednesday. I already said that. Oh, they're 8-8 as well.
Whoa, Kings again. Dang.
And then, the Clippers. And then after that, it's Lakers, Clippers. It's a West Coast kind of a trip. So, although the Lakers are at home. So, well, we will see. Yeah, he's going to have to step up against Şengün. Cool.
Vikings won to offset this loss in a weird way. And
they did. And I know that most of you are probably watching
Detroit, the top of the NFC. I am not following the NFL this much, but I am keeping up with. Sometimes people are talking about the game, so then I'll check it out. This loss does not hurt me one bit. It's not painful. It's I'm actually very relieved that we bounced back the way we did. We could have completely fallen flat, taking our tires out and just watched Boston completely dismantle us. That did not happen. And despite them shooting 50% from 3 and shooting 75,000 threes, we were within 2. That's kind of incredible.
It's crazy. And
with all the things that are happening with our team right now too, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I think it's a good sign. I think we have good things to come. Now, as somebody else mentioned earlier, why do we always show up against good teams and not against bad teams?
Yeah, right.
Quote, bad teams. Because, you look at the Rockets, the Kings, and the Clippers, and in my mind, I'm like, those 3 games are all winnable. I understand that the Rockets are a good team, and that the Kings are a good team. I mean, we went really close with them in that game. But I don't trust that the locker room is seriously taking all 3 of those teams seriously. So, maybe change my mind, Timberwolves. I'd love to be surprised, but I do worry about these games. So hopefully,
oh my gosh, Crone, thank you so much.
Crone, shout out. 5 gifted. Oops, we're battling. Oh gosh. Thanks for the 5 gifted, Crone. Appreciate it. And shout out to whoever got a gifted. That is the sign of a bad team, Dystopian Utopia. You're not wrong. But we kind of did that last year to some degree. I mean, we won a lot of games last year too, but yes. Cool. That's it for us tonight. Or today. It's not night, I guess, yet. But Timberwolves lose. We will let me see. What is my schedule? I don't know that I'm available for every one of these games this week.
I'm available for Tuesday.
I think I'm available for
Kings.
Tuesday. Yeah, I think Tuesday you're not available for Kings.
I don't think so.
Okay, I might not also be available for the Kings. But we'll be here for the Rockets, and then TBD on the Clippers. We'll see. So cool. Well, if you haven't already, like the stream, subscribe to the stream. We're trying to get to 10 million subscribers by the end of this week. And we're only 9,999,000 away. But yeah, anyways, 52 wins is still possible. There is going to be a point here. How many losses does it take for us not to get 52 wins? I mean, we're still a ways away, but
oh my gosh.
Don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. But 52 wins still possible.
Dude. Dystopian and Tycoon are available for Thanksgiving. Maybe we can
there we go.
Outsource.
Yes. Somebody else want to take over the show for us? I like it.
So, Mitch has got it.
Mitch, you got it? Okay, cool. Awesome. I'm going to try to end the stream and do intro as the outro, but if it doesn't work, Ashwin, it might have to be you.
Oh, okay.
All right, maybe.
I believe that the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to win the world championship.
Edwards.